perfect your eagle pose in hot yoga. Actually, it's a universal pose. It's practiced by many different styles of yoga. Therefore, it comes in a variety of shapes and sizes. Which one's right? Which one's wrong? Actually, no one's wrong. Everyone has their own philosophy and approach and their own tradition. We got to find what's right for you. We're going to go back and forth to the studio with this particular video, demonstrate with senior Bikram teacher Victoria. We're going to go from beginning modifications all the way through to the advanced full expression. So if you're a beginner, experienced practitioner, this video is going to help you get on track, get the best out of what I consider to be one of the most important warm-up poses in the sequence. So are you struggling in this pose? Can't get your hands quite flat together? Can't get that foot to hook all around the calf muscle? We're going to fix it. Let's go to the studio right now with senior teacher Victoria and work on the hand position first.
So first we're going to look at the arms. We're going to look at the hands, because one of the things you have to look at, especially if you're a teacher, a lot of times they're going to have the wrong hands if they've never done this pose. So watch with the help of Victoria, senior Bikram teacher Victoria. Watch your hand position. She's going to bring her right arm under the left arm, and she's going to have her thumbs facing away from her, which is incorrect. We want the thumbs toward the face. If you're a teacher, don't say face the thumbs to the face. Don't face to the face. That's just not semantically correct. We want the thumbs toward the face. Now, another mistake that happens is the underneath hand goes to the outside, like so. So now the thumbs are to the face, but the underneath arm, that hand has to come inside. So you have to then make the correction and get the underneath arm, that hand on the inside. So now let's go to the side angle. Let's do it wrong again. You see, the thumbs are still facing toward you, but it's incorrect. We want the thumbs toward the face. Try to get the fingers together. Now, another thing you can do to get your hands closer together, because we want the fingertips to line up, is that you can interlace your fingers. Work them around, work them around, work them around. But once you start to bring the legs over, now open the hands flat, meaning you don't want to have your fingers interlaced when your leg comes over. So it's okay to do it to warm it up, to get them closer together, bend flat when you start the legs. Now, let's say Victoria's a big, strong guy, and she either has injured shoulder. In fact, you want to ask them if it's an injured shoulder or not, or just tight shoulders, because a lot of times they can't even get their hands close together. So what you can do is first use rag. So let's do the right arm under the left, and let's say she's not even close, or he, most likely it's going to be he, not even close to getting those hands together. You still want the thumbs toward you, and you can use a little towel or a strap, because what you don't want them to do, let go for a second, is hold the shoulders. Grab your shoulders and hug them. Nothing's going to happen there. You're just hugging your shoulders. If you do this, creating a tension to open up the wrist, to open up the elbows, to open up the joints, and open up the shoulders, you're actually creating a wrist. If it's impossible for you to, say you don't have a rag, you can make a fist. Press your arms in. That's much better than do the hug thing again, than hugging yourself.
Are you hugging yourself?
It's a great modification to use. Now, here's another thing that I actually learned from Bikram, what you can do. Because what happens is, imagine, again, Victoria's big, strong guy. They want a muscle to try to get their hands together. So you can tell them, relax, relax. You got to get them to relax this area. Now, bring your hands together. And they have a better chance doing that by relaxing the shoulders. Great modification to get those hands flat together. Now, there's a step between using the strap or using your fist. If you can't get your hands quite flat together, and that's, you could grab the thumb. So you're going to take let's do the left arm under, the other side, this arm under. So you can grab the thumb, because that's going to be a really good way. It's impossible if you get the hands flat together. Holding the thumb, you don't want to yank on it to screw up the tendon, but you're going to hold the thumb, and eventually you can work your way to get your hands flat. Now, you don't want to hold the thumb this way. Turn to the front again. That's going to be a lot easier for a lot of people with tight shoulders to hold the thumb that way. The reason why you want to hold that way, here, you can at least start working your hands flat together. So grab the thumb from the inside. So now we can get our hands flat together or close to flat together as possible. Do whatever side you want, Victoria. So you bring your hands flat together. Now we got to talk about the position of the hands. In the Bikram world, they want the hands down by the nose. In other styles of yoga, they bring their arms way up high, like so. I like the fingertips at the forehead, and let me tell you why.
Welcome back to my home. Now let's talk about the actual position of where the hand should be. I like it 2 inches, that's about 2.54 centimeters from the face. Now, in the Bikram world, they want the fingertips to line up with the nose. I like the forehead. Let me tell you why I switched from the nose to the forehead. Now, to set that up, let's talk about a different style of yoga, what I call the Krishnamacharyas, the Iyengar, and yoga that comes from the southern part of India and Mysore. They do eagle arms much higher. They do it way up here like this. So now I'm having a conversation. I'm one of the teachers at a yoga journal conference, and Baron Baptiste, who actually was a Bikram teacher years and years ago, he even lived in Bikram's house at one point, and we became friends. We've been friends for almost 40 years now. And now he's doing this higher position with the arms. And he said to me, isn't it important to get the back straight? Which it is. So he says, that's why we bring the arms so up high like this, so we can get our back straight. And that's when it dawned on me to have the fingertips at the nose is actually causing a rounding of the spine. We do want the back straight. We do want to bring the upper body back a little bit more. However, I still want the concept of pressing the arms into the rib cage. So that's why I went from the nose to the forehead, so we can still keep the pressure onto the chest. Let me explain why that's important. When I first moved to Florida, I developed allergies.
I have allergies.
I had a bronchitis and eventually developed asthma, so I was having difficulty breathing. So I went to a very famous doctor in New York City. They call him Dr. Breath. And he explained to me that when people are asthmatic, most people, because there's different forms of asthma, when people are mostly asthmatic, the rib cage flares up, which pushes the diaphragm down. So he had me do exercises where he would press into my rib cage and then have me breathe. By pressing into the rib cage, it allowed the diaphragm, because you can't directly move the diaphragm, but you can manipulate it. So as he pushed against the rib cage, it allowed the diaphragm to move up. It opens up the breath. So when we do a posture like the eagle pose, and we're pressing our arms into the rib cage, we're doing this technique of pressing the rib cage down. Also lengthening the rib cage allows for the diaphragm to manipulate as well. Like when we do balancing stick or balancing staff pose, we lengthen the spine. So when I would do these poses, so back 35 years ago when I was in Florida and I was struggling with asthma, when I applied Dr. Breath's technique in the yoga class and I pressed my arms against my chest in the eagle pose, or also when I did the balancing stick position and lengthened it, I would do a mouth inhalation, almost like you were taking an inhaler. By taking the breath from my mouth, I could feel my lungs opening. And what happens is, according to Dr. Breath and other allergy doctors, mucus gets plugged into the bronchial sacs. So when you take an inhaler, it opens up or dilates the bronchial tube, and that's how the air can pass through freely. What this does, it actually unplugs the mucus from the sac. So I would do in the eagle pose, and mucus would actually come up. I needed a Kleenex. I know it's disgusting.
That's gross.
Because mucus would actually come up. I was able to get rid of the mucus plugs. And that's when Baron Baptiste gave me the idea of bringing the arms a little bit higher, but still keeping the arms pressed into the rib cage to open up the lung capacity to its fullest expression. Let's go back to the studio with Victoria and work on the legs.
So the first thing I want you to do once you get your hands flat together is to squat down. This is a great preparation to soften the IT bands even more. So what you're doing is you're stretching this area of the side of the hips. So now when you bring the leg over, let's bring your leg over top, you've actually softened this area for that leg to wrap around behind you. So squat down first. Great warm up, great preparation. Let's say you can't get the foot to hook behind. A lot of people can't do it. In fact, interestingly enough, a lot of classical ballet dancers can't do it because they all in turnout. This is an internal rotation. So we'll have Victoria do the left side. So left arm under. She squats to soften the IT bands. And let's say she can't get that foot to hook. So she's going to bring that foot around. She's just going to balance here. She can even point her knee to the right, top knee, which will then start working the foot behind her leg. So point the knee to the right to get that foot to hook. But once the foot hooks behind you, now she's going to bring her knees into the center line. So the knees come underneath the elbows. I'm going to have her do the right side. So she brings her right arm under, sits her down, squats first, soften the IT bands, and right leg comes over. And what we got to do is we got to close the gap off between the ankles. So what you can do is press the top of your right foot against the back of the leg. We don't want the space here. We want to press the top of the foot against the back of the leg. The big toe pressing down to the ankle. Let's turn the other way. We've magically turned around. So now the big toe is going to go to the other side, the right side. So her right big toe is going to the right side of her ankle. We're going to get the ankle pressed up against the calf muscle to close the gap. Right? Let's do the left side if you want. Left arm under. She sits and squats down. Left leg over. And what you want to do is look at the symmetry. Yoga is all about symmetry. If one shoulder's too high, it's easier to bring the higher shoulder down. One hip's too low, bring the lower hip up. One hip's too far back, bring the right hip forward. Get the hips and shoulders square to the front.
Let's talk about how low you should be in the eagle pose based on my personal experience over 43 years now. In the old days, in Bikram's first book, he had people very high up. When I started with Bikram, which was 40 some years ago, we were a little bit lower, where the hips were a little bit above the knees and the back was still straight. Take a look at this picture in Bikram's second book, and you can see the position that Bikram preferred. Maybe about 15, 20 years ago, he changed it, and he had people go really low. He would say, get as low as you possibly can. So what I like is the one in the middle. Actually, what I was raised on is bringing the hips a little bit above the knees, like second part awkward pose, keeping the back straight, like this picture that Bikram's showing. It's a really perfect position. And also the position I'm having Victoria do. This way we're coming out of the waist, still opening all the joints at the same time. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, ankles, knees, and especially the hips. When the hips open up, the whole body opens up. We open up the joints to get our body to move further into the next pose, especially standing head to knee and standing bow, which immediately follow this position. Let's talk about the Sanskrit real quick, which is really important. In the Bikram world, they call it Garudasana, because Bikram sometimes, and maybe it was Vishnu Ghosh, didn't have quite the perfect understanding of Sanskrit and what it means. Because the posture is named after the mythological creature who's half human, half eagle. His name was Garuda with a D. So the proper Sanskrit is Garudasana. The first time I traveled to Australia, which is really close to Indonesia, at the airport, I looked out of the window and I saw Garuda Air. So the airline that represents Indonesia is called Garuda Air. I took this picture. As soon as I landed in Australia, I opened up my window and I looked out and there it was. Garuda, and you can see the picture of the eagle. Remember the movie Slumdog Millionaire? One of the questions was, what was Rama carrying on top of Garuda? Rama, the sixth incarnation of Vishnu, would ride on Garuda's back, looking over creation. The answer was he was carrying a bow and arrow. But the point is, it's not Garudasana, it's Garudasana, named after the famous mythological creature, Garuda.
Right arm underneath, right leg on top. Focus on your legs more than your arms, and there it is. Boom. Advanced position, one motion, no extra movement.
So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. You want to learn all about hot yoga, flows, tutorials, factoids like this video, hit the like and the subscribe button right now, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.